Welcome back. And today we're going to look at the front end. We've looked at building out our models a little bit and doing it on the back end and that administrative side over here. This time we're going to take a look at adding it to our front end app, which is not very not very impressive right now. Now this also creates a new file, something that we haven't looked at yet. We looked at models, but now at URLs and views, now we're going to create one called forms. And let's just duplicate that and rename it, because that'll be a little bit easier. So now within forms, we're going to still, and this is where we're going to build, we use the Django's pieces, its templates, to build front-end forms. And we're going to do it for task. So we don't need to worry about lookup status in this case. And in this one, we're still going to import our models. However, we now need to import our forms. And this is just from straight Django. And now we're going to build our, let's do our task form. Let's call it that. Very similar to models. We're going to go forms.form. We're going to inherit from. And the way a form works is it's going to grab certain fields and display them for us. And we'll see how that gets displayed here in just a second. So we're going to come in and we're going to keep it moderately simple. We're going to say that fields equals except for, whoop. And we're going to do each of those fields. So we're going to do name. Yeah, we'll do most of them. So we're going to do due date, completion date. Oh, it's got to be a string. Status and minutes spent, because the others will just be there. Okay, so we don't need anything else. If we do a form like that, so we've got this form that we've created, and it's based off of a task. Now we need to be able to do something with it. So let's take our default template, and we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to call this one, we're going to rename him to, what do we call this? So this will be TaskEdit. And now we can come into TaskEdit here. We had this very simple thing. So let's, we'll start with our URL. So let's do, we're going to add a new path, and this will be task. Actually, let's call it, yeah, let's just do a very simple one. So right now we're going to do, and then we're going to do views.CreateTask. So now we've created this URL that we're going to be able to work with. So now we've got to go to views, and we're going to create task. Let's just call him create task, and he's going to render task edit, and then task edit. Let's go in here. And so we've got, this is now a form. And so there's a couple of very powerful things we can do with this. When we have a form, there's a couple of different ways that we can display it. Now, this is by nature, it's going to be a variable within the Django world. And so we can do it in the most simple way. I'm going to do it form dot, let's just do as paragraph. And we'll throw some divs around it just because. Now, when we come into this, it's going to take this form and it's going to display it in as paragraph tags. We're going to see in just a second. The first thing we have to do is we actually have to assign out this form. So let's go back over to create task. When we do that, we're going to use, and we're going to have to first come up here and we're going to have to import our forms. So we're going to come in here and we're just going to do from here, import forms. Whoop. And we're also going to have to import our models. And we call this DP project models. We're going to go ahead and import. Right now, we just need to do the task. Yeah, from our models, we're going to do the task. So we're going to pull him in. Now we come down to create task, and that means that we're going to have to actually create a default form on the first time through. The way we do this is we're going to call him form, and he's going to equal task, which means this creates a task instance. And it's going to be an empty one, and so that's going to be passed into form or assigned to the form variable. Now we have to pass the form variable into our call. And we do that. We're going to send some parameters, but first our parms is and this is going to be just a collection, a list. And so we're going to call form. And we're going to assign it to form. Now there's some other things we can pass. We haven't actually talked about passing parameters in. So let's keep it simple right now. Well, actually, let's do this. Let's create a second one and let's call it title. And we're going to call this, let's see, this will be create task. And then we're going to actually pass title in. Title. And we're going to call it title, even though it could be something else. But let's keep it simple like this. And we're going to pass those forms in. So we've got, so pass title in. Let's actually make use of it. Let's go back to TaskEdit. And let's go up here and call, we'll create an H1. And we're going to actually use title. And then we're going to do the form as a paragraph. And what we're going to see here, so this is very simple, utilizing this form that we created over here. We gave it some fields. Now let's run it. And so now we come in and we called that task. So now if we go back here, let's just do this. If we go to nothing, remember we didn't have a home, so we're going to go to this task. And we added the title, got passed in, and so we can, here we go, in the views. So we see over here that we passed in title. Now here, we forgot something. When we created the form, we called it a task and not a task form. My mistake. So we had to actually use, instead of the task, we actually created the form, which is what we called it here. We called it a task form. So if we come into views, it's a task form. And just for grins, we can actually pass in instance information. And we're going to do that by adding a little parameter in here with our creation. And we're going to say instance equals data. And so now if we go back over here, just do it this way, just to be fun. Now go look. Oh, task form is not defined. So we did not get that included somewhere. Apologies. This actually here, I need to do a meta to get this. And that's going to be here. Well, that. And this is going to allow me to set meta information, which is which fields am I using. By default, it's going to use all of them. So I can come in here. Oh, I need to create them. I have to assign it a model though. Model dot, I'm going to call it task. Untitled.task. Let's see. Oop, that's not what I want. Do from here, import models. And I don't really need this, so let's leave him. And he is typo, so let's correct him. Let's go back. Let's restart the server just for fun. And let's see, what did we get? Task forms not defined. Let's go back and look at that real quick. Oh, my mistake again. Forgot to put a model form in there. And now, still not defined. So let's go back and stop our server. Oops, it's actually, let's go back over here to form views, and it's actually not TaskForm, it's forms.TaskForm. So now if I go in here and do it this way, I have not sent data in. So let's just simplify that for now. And let's do it this way. And let's see. There we go. So now this is in a paragraph form. We've seen my 5 fields, and I can just enter some stuff in. I don't have anything that I'm doing interesting right now. I don't have like a submit button or anything like that. However, and we're going to talk about that in another episode coming up. Let's go back to my page. There's 3 different ways you can do it. You can do it as a paragraph, do it as a table. So it's here. Let's do a table. And now if we flip over here in the table form, we see now it's in a table. And finally, we can do as a list. Let's not make that. Let's do a wrap it nicely. Apologies. This is actually as a user list, UL. And then we go here. And now we're going to see them as a list. And if you looked at it, you're going to see here, hopefully it's a little small. Well, but you can see here where there's a user list and we have list items for each of our fields. You've got a label, and then you've got the item itself. And you can see here that it's generated this stuff. And every case, it has, if you wanted to work with it beyond the basics, you can see that it's got ID underscore and then the name of the field. So that's a very simple crash course introduction into forms in Django. We created our model, then we come in and we address it in forms, and we just tell it what fields we want to look at. And there's some more stuff. We're going to dig into this. There's much more we can do in the forms file. And then actually displaying it can be very, very simple. And so now, no matter how big, we have something that right at this point, regardless of how we change our form around, or model behind it even, we can rather quickly do that, and the display becomes very simplistic. It's going to auto adjust for us. It just says, okay, whatever fields I've listed over here, then I'm going to go ahead and display those out on this form display. So we'll come back to that next time around. We're going to do some more with forms, but I figured that's a good starting point. So now we can look at, we could actually work with our tasks, and we're going to get a little more complicated this in a minute or in another episode. And we can actually work with our tasks on the front end now and not just the back end. And so we'll come in to do a little bit more next time. Until then, have yourself a good day.